Welcome back to the Outward Expression. I'm your host Roman, and today I'm here with David for what will be my first interview for this platform.
Roman or Raymond?
Roman, yeah. Oh, I didn't explain. For the purposes of the podcast, my name is Roman.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah. So here we are. Welcome back to the Outward Expression. I'm your host Roman, and today I'm here with David, a good friend of mine, and we are in Dubuque, Iowa, having a great time. And this is, for the purposes of this platform, this is my first interview, and I chose David for reasons that will become very obvious once you hear him start to talk. So, David, good morning, and introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, wow. We're just going to dive right in.
Yes, we are.
Well, good morning, audience. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with my dear friend, Ray, also known as Roman.
AKA.
A little bit about myself. I am a father, a husband, a son, a patriot. I like to consider myself. I guess I'm kind of going off my Instagram little, shindig in terms of, you know, where the boxes I check. A conservative, an actor. I'm sure there's a few other things there that might come to mind, but yeah, I I'm thrilled to be here. First time Ray and Roman and I have been able to uh, partake in sort of a manly trip, and we're here in Dubuque, Iowa, with the film festival, and
Yep,
having a great time.
having a great time. We might have had well, I may have had a bit more than my share of beer last night, but that aside, we're gonna,
We're
um,
drowning that with some coffee
yeah, a
this
little bit of
morning.
coffee to take the edge off. And again, this is going to be an interview, so I'm just going to ask David a few questions. And David has not been informed of what these questions are going to be, so this is going
Scouts,
to be
Scouts honor.
yes, straight off the cuff. So the first question I had, and this is going to seem unusual for the purposes of like an interview type setting, but what would you say would be your earliest memories of childhood?
Wow. So good or bad, or
Any just
just
general,
general
generally.
memories? Vivid memories. I remember that we lived in a small town, western suburbs called Lombard, and it was a small house, my mom and dad's first home. And right across the street, the street was called Ann Street, and it was a dead end, and there was the first street north of a very busy street, Roosevelt. A lot of people, if you're from the Chicagoland area, you know the street, Roosevelt, and Ann Street was the first street north of Roosevelt, and so Roosevelt was just lined with all of these retail stores. So of course, the back of those stores was just this very industrial-like setup, the parking lots and the dumpsters of all of these stores. And a little bit further down the road from our house, there was the underground, uh, like stormwater retention, and there was this literally this, like, I mean, I'm a little boy. I'm probably 4 years old, so you can understand I'm what, 36 inches high maybe. So this pipe was 48 inches, right? So I could walk into this pipe and walk all the way across, literally walk underneath Roosevelt Road. And I remember vividly my mom would always tell me, stay away from that pipe, don't go in that pipe, do not, right? And I'm going to back up a little bit now. I think I had just celebrated a birthday, and I was awarded a bike. Awarded. I was gifted a bike from my grandparents. My first bike, training wheels, the whole 9 yards. Beautiful bike. I love this bike. All right, so I'm with the neighborhood kids, and we're in the backyard of this house where this pipe terminated. And I did not listen to my mom, and I went into the pipe. And this particular day, I went the furthest that I had ever gone. And all of a sudden I start hearing some voices, right? Like Dave, Dave, David, and it's my friends, and they're yelling at me. And the reason why they're yelling at me is because my mom is standing right there. And now this probably is going to paint the best picture of my mom, but she's a wonderful woman and one of my life idols and one of my godsends. She's my mom. I love her. But one of those parenting moments, I come out of this tunnel and I saw the side of my mother that I never want to see again. I got the spanking of my life, and I was grounded. And as I was grounded to my bedroom, I began to hear what I later learned was her destroying the bike that I got for my birthday. She took a hammer to this thing and destroyed it.
Oh, wow.
And destroyed it. So that she felt bad afterwards and took me to Toys R Us and got me a new bike after the anger settled in.
Hmm.
But that's one vivid one vivid memory from an early childhood. Another quick one. I remember again, same house. My grandparents came over, and my grandfather had brought a boomerang, and it was in the evening, and we were in the on the front lawn, and I remember we were trying to get this boomerang thing to work, and I remember uh, goofing around with my grandfather and grabbing it and running, and him chasing me, and then him grabbing it and me chasing him, and I remember tripping right behind him. And as I tripped and fell forward, his heel came up and caught me right in the bottom of the chin. Um, yeah, another vivid memory. How many of these do you want?
That'll do for now. But
Okay.
I think maybe at this point, the audience is probably wondering if you ever visited that tunnel again. Did you
No,
ever? No.
never
See,
went back.
so
Never went back.
mom taught him a lesson, and he did not depart from walking the straight path from that day forward, right?
Right. True.
So,
Never, never again.
moving on to another question. Tell me, what would you say have been your greatest challenges in life? What would you consider your greatest challenge? And I'm throwing out some pretty heavy stuff there. We're not talking about favorite foods or restaurants. We're getting to the heart of the matter.
Yeah. Boy, these are questions that usually require a little bit of time to reflect.
Okay, well,
So,
let's take time. We could move on to another.
yeah, when if you don't mind.
Okay. Okay. What would you say have been your greatest triumphs?
My
So we're
children,
gonna your children. Okay.
undoubtedly, my greatest success.
Tell us, flesh that out a little bit for our audience. Assuming that there's an audience. I hope someone's watching, but
So, I am of the opinion that parenthood is one of the greatest privileges anyone can be bestowed. It is incredibly important. It is undoubtedly rewarding, and I was gifted with the privilege of marrying a remarkable woman who gave me um, two greatest children on the planet,
great,
and
fantastic.
uh, working working at that, and watching them grow and watching me grow side by side with them. One of the things that I would tell my children when we would come to a crossroads, a disagreement, that they're 12 for the first time. I'm the parent of a 12-year-old for the first time. So you're figuring this out. I'm figuring this out. There's no book in the library that I can go grab that says how to parent a 12-year-old when this happens, right? So you and I are going to have to talk about this and come to some sort of terms so that we can move forward together, with a happy outcome. And I think, looking at life from a parent's lens in that perspective, giving my children the benefit of the doubt, talking with them, understanding that I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. Neither are you. But as long as we're perfect together, this is going to have a happy ending. And that's worked pretty well for me. Um,
That's
I,
good.
you know,
Well, for the sake of the audience, I will tell you that I have met one of David's children, his son, and he's a fine young man, very fine young man, very friendly, warm, has a great handshake. That's important. That's important,
Yes,
you know.
the things a man needs to teach his son. When you walk into a room, if depending on the amount of people in that room, right? You walk up to a man, you look him in the eye, you shake his hand, you say hello. Uh, and those are some of the things that I would instill. If mom and I have got some friends over, right? And I'm not talking a room of like 10, 15 people. I don't
Right,
expect you to shake the hands of all 10, 15 people. But
right,
if it's a room of, your mom and I have got a friend, some couple over, and you enter the room, you say hello, you shake their hand, especially the gentleman,
right.
right? So yeah. So anyway, and not to go off on a tangent,
No, but
but
that's
those are
fine.
some of the things that I instilled in my son. And I don't want to sound biased, but I've never I've never been given a bad. People sometimes go out of their way to tell me what a fine young man he is, and I'm
Well,
a
that's
lot. A
something
lot
to
of
be proud of.
it is proud. I am proud of that, but a lot of that's because of him. He deserves a lot of the credit for
Of
that.
course, of course. So, that's really good. I like that. So moving on, have you had time to process that first question, or should we move on to something?
Repeat the first question again.
What would you say were your greatest challenge in life? Just,
Well, one of them is going to kind of default on being a parent, and
hmm,
the worries that come with that. And I compliment my wife in that aspect. She was a remarkable mother, and she and I played off of each other exceptionally well. The good cop, bad cop kind of, you know, uh, position, whatever would be the most appropriate word. Certainly, parenting is a challenge. From a professional standpoint, I found early in life the love of the theater and the love of acting, and trying to balance that passion and that drive to become what I would consider successful and still maintain a happy, cohesive life has certainly, by all means, been a challenge. It's difficult. It's a very difficult industry. It's a very competitive. To use the word competitive it's such an understatement to the competition in the world of theater and film. And to always trying to be to maintain the energy and the focus and the perseverance to achieve success in that industry, while trying to be a good husband and a good father, and maintain a level of happiness and balance, so that you can look back on your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, and healthfully, is that a word? Healthfully say that I didn't squander those decades. I was still able to, work at those dreams, but at the same time still enjoy the moment. And so that was, you know, to be able to answer that question off the cuff and come up with, genuine, authentic answers. I would say raising my children and trying to find balance in pursuing my dreams is certainly
excellent,
been.
excellent. Folks, again, if there's an audience out there, this is the reason I chose David, because his ability to articulate his thoughts is very thoughtful. He really paints a picture with his words, and hopefully you'll be seeing more of David, because one thing you may not, well, you certainly don't know about David, is that he's a really good storyteller. So in future, we're going to do, hopefully with David's permission, we're going to do a couple of stories that he has told me in the past that I think are worth sharing with the audience. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I'm springing that on you
It's
here, so
okay.
it's completely impromptu, but I think it would be the people would find me personally, when I'm going through videos, when there's a person that tells a good story, I kind of hang on and stick around to hear this story. So,
Okay.
So we got that coming up, folks. So is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience? Maybe just by way of your impressions of Dubuque,
Oh
Iowa.
wow! So yeah, first time here. I think we haven't even been in Dubuque for 24 hours, and very impressed.
And we put a strain on their supply of beer. So if you're coming this way, you might want to bring some provisions of your own.
I am very impressed.
It's
I
a
am.
it's a lovely city.
It is a. It is a. Just your genuine salt of the earth river town, rich in culture. And
Rich in culture.
again, we haven't even been here 24 hours, and so far some great restaurants. Everyone has been
Friendly.
very friendly,
Hmm.
uh, and they were able to provide some first evers, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
the cable car.
they have this elevator. It's a cable. It's a
What's
small
it
little
called?
car. They call it the Fourth Street elevator.
Fourth Street elevator.
So it is this little cable car trolley thing that
Seats about 6 people, maybe
maybe, and
comfortably.
it literally takes you probably up, I don't know, 250 feet maybe in a matter of half of a city block. It's something I've never seen for the first, something I've seen for the first time, and something I have experienced for the first time, and I highly recommend
Yeah, and we shared this particular cable car with a couple of guys, and one of them referred to it as a funiculi,
I believe so.
funicula, something along those lines. So I'll look into that, and maybe on a future episode we'll flesh that out and tell you what the origin of that particular word is. I think it's just a kind of a old world kind of reference to that type of situation, like a cable car type thing.
Well, what's fantastic about it is that as you go up, you don't realize that it terminates at probably one of the highest points of Dubuque. So when you get out, you literally have got this beautiful
Beautiful view.
panoramic view of the Mississippi River and pretty much all of Dubuque. So
Yeah.
it's pretty stunning, even on a cloudy day.
Right. So yeah, I mean, maybe before the end of this trip, we'll go up on the cable car and we'll give you an example of what that view looks like.
There you go.
So that's it, folks. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this little introduction into the world of David. And as always, I am Roman. This is the Outward Expression. Choose the good.